the Crefton Building. Let Rob get the attendance put in there.
I'm good.
Okay, you got to know everybody?
Yep.
Okay. Might take a look at the minutes. Need a motion to approve the August meeting minutes. Kevin moves. Dyke, you'll have to second it. All in favor?
I can't hear.
Okay, you just seconded the motion. The approval of the minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
You're on it.
All in favor, say aye. All, any opposed? Motion carried. Approval of the monthly report. You have that in front of you. Basically, it looks like we've had quite a few call-outs. Is that more than normal? 56 for the whole month for the city, and 5 for the county. We've had 14 dogs picked up for the month. 6 dogs dropped off. $316 of fees collected or turned in. 2 dog bites for the month. 2 dogs euthanized. And 10 dogs transferred to the Humane Association for the month. We've got 8 applications that are pending for the spaying and neutering, and we've had 2 completed for this month. Are there any questions?
Who was that? Who completed?
I don't know off the top of my head, I'm not sure.
That was back the week of the
Yeah,
19th.
Wasn't that Gary and Candy? Or did they do theirs?
No, I haven't seen her, but I haven't got the end of the month back yet, so.
Any questions about the monthly report? I hear a motion to approve it.
Motion to approve.
Okay. Okay, been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, public session. Do we have anyone that would like to speak at this time?
Yeah, just a couple of
Sure.
points. Probably the biggest concern that I have is regarding the amount of registration money and fine money that's being collected. At this time, and this is an improvement from last month, but we're on pace to be about $7,400 behind where we were a year ago on that. And last month we were over $10,000 behind, based on the projection from the year before.
And that's coming from,
That's coming from the registration and the fines that are collected. So basically, we're lagging probably about 20% behind in revenue type of deal. And I think that's in direct relationship to the payroll deduction. The payroll for 2010 was approximately $42,000. With a full-time employee and a part-time employee, with both of them being there, it was about a 20% decrease in payroll. And now with the part-time employee taking early retirement, we're at a 54% decrease in payroll. And my question, I guess, to you is, if you're not going to collect this in direct proportion to the payroll being declined off of it, it seems to me that that person is basically paying for themselves by being able to collect the extra registrations, staying on top of the fine money, and those type of things. The other thing is that I know that the county had an across-the-board decrease in allocations for each department of 10%, but I think this department's getting hit a whole lot more of that if we're at a 54% decrease in payroll. And the thing is, if you could keep the revenue up or exceed the revenue of where you're at right now, then it wouldn't be a problem, but that's not the case. You're not able to do it.
okay, where do you see, what is your reasoning? Why do you think that we've got less? What's your opinion, anyway?
My first opinion is it's not a one-person job. It hasn't been a one-person job for 10 years. You know, you can go back to the payroll figures from 2000, it's been a two-person job on it. The fact that you're collecting less revenue, my point is if somebody doesn't pay their registration or doesn't pay their thing who's calling those people? Who's following up on that? Nobody. We just continually mail out. So we're not collecting those revenues. If they do come into the shelter and they haven't paid it, then if they say, well, that's my dog, then all we're doing is assessing basically, what, $32?
Depending on if it was picked up for running loose or how it
Yeah.
was acquired by us.
So it's like driving with no insurance, and then you go get insurance and there's no fine. There's basically no incentive to have the registration paid in advance. You've got a sticker on the door that says if you haven't paid your registration and then your dog's picked up, it's $165. We're not assessing that fine. So it's problematic all the way back. I mean, there's a system failure, I think, on the fine schedule, collecting the right amount of fine. If a person doesn't want to pay the fine, then we get the dog. The fine still should be assessed. I mean, the fine still needs to be assessed, you know. And then those same people are not paying their registrations on other dogs. If you went to their house, they've got 5 other dogs running there too as well, and they're not paying that fine. You just can't have one person doing that job. And my point to you is that if we took a 10% decrease in the budget for the animal shelter, I think we can live with that, but you can't live with the 54% decrease in payroll and then expect that job to still being done when the system is broke to begin with on it.
Okay. We'll take your comments under consideration. Anything else?
You need to hire somebody. Strongly urge you to hire somebody.
Okay.
Because the problems that you're not addressing today are going to be problems you're not even going to see for 3 or 4 years. Because there's just going to be more dogs out there and those type of things. The other thing is, like, what's the cost on euthanizing a dog today? Current cost for euthanizing a dog? Like $30, $40?
Be $30.
Okay. If it's $30 and we go back to euthanizing 450 dogs like we were beforehand, you're going to be spending $13,000 to $15,000 a year on euthanizing dogs, but you can't expect the Humane Society to continue at the pace that they're doing when it's a county.
We don't put that many dogs to sleep.
You will if I walk out the door.
You will if the Humane Society walks away if we're not getting...
You're not walking out the door, are you?
We're not Doug, we're not saying
no.
that. But
I'm
my
like,
point...
it's a lot.
My point
I don't
being
think
on
you
that-
guys realize how much myself, the Hobuses, and Judy Poofall are doing. I mean, I myself am doing 50 to 60 hours a week, either cleaning, walking, or on the phone trying to push these dogs somewhere. I'm like, and the other girls are doing a lot as well. I'm like, we can't sustain this pace. I had 3 phone calls last night at my house that 3 puppies on Lower T, 1 puppy by Shelley Winkler's house, 2 dogs running at large that somebody brought in, and they're still in the outdoor kennel because we're full. We either need to euthanize some now, or I got to find a place to put them.
Right.
And the thing is I think if we get somebody hired, handle the registrations, make sure the fines are assessed. And if that person wants to leave the dog, that's fine. Now you owe, this is the fine, and that fine's going to be paid. If the fine's not paid, then take it to the state's attorney, make them pay it. Because that's what you're going to have to do. If not, they just let the dog go, and then they still got 5 at their house. That's
Or
not
they
solving...
replace it before you can get
Or
back
they,
to the
yeah,
shelter
they
with the
replace it
dog.
with someone
Last
else.
week, and
So
that's
there's no
one we
incentive for them not to
euthanized.
replace
One
the
we
dog.
euthanized last week because the lady owed the fine.
Right.
Been
She
in there
walked away
twice.
from
It was its second offense in there. Has to be spay and neutered, second offense.
Right.
She wouldn't do it.
Leaves
Left
the
the
dog.
dog. We euthanized it because she.
And then you
So
can-
then it cost us $35, $40, whatever.
Sure.
And she didn't have to pay a dime.
Yeah.
So they just walk away from it, and that's
It
what
sounds like maybe that's going to happen again, maybe this week.
Oh,
on
it's
on
a
that
very good
particular-
possibility, yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, so what it is it's like driving without insurance. Oh, well, I just won't drive for a week. Let it go, and then they're driving again.
insurance.
Yeah, just a little bit. Just a little bit. But the fine's got to be assessed either way. You can't let them just give up the dog and then not assess the
I mean,
fine.
I walked in the middle of the conversation, but the fines are already in place. They're just not being enforced.
Well, it's one of the deals where to take it to the state's attorney's office, it's been a hassle.
Always has.
Yeah.
It's not something he'll work with me on.
New. That's,
Well-
The city charges that I can write, they're pretty, Rich Cash is pretty good about prosecuting them. And I mean, if they're brought in and dropped off to shelter, I don't assess them with fine. Usually, if I pick them up running loose, and that's when I'm writing them a ticket for the dogs running loose.
And they go to court, and then it's up to
And then it's up to them as
court
to what their
assess
fines are. Yeah.
Is he doing that, not doing that?
Usually, he does. I mean, Cash is pretty good about prosecuting anything that I've taken in front of him.
That's something I think we'll just have to work with the state's attorney on.
It's something I can start writing more of them. I mean, it's
I think
It's
what
just a
has
matter of
to
writing
be
it.
taken is you have to give them the fine. That you're going to pay the fine whether you take the dog or not. Then if that's the case, then we'll deal with the state's attorney.
and a lot of the problem with that is someone calls me on their dog. I've got their dog at the shelter. They call me, hey, you got my dog. What's it going to cost? I tell them what they got, how much it's going to be. Well, I mean, they just walk away from it. I don't have the information on that person to actually write the citation to that person because I don't know their date of birth, all the information comes off their license. As to where if I'm picking it up for running loose, they come to the shelter to pick it up, then I've got them in front of me and I can, then I can get that information. But without that information to write it, I can't write the citation.
Well, but if they call on their dog and say, I mean, you can ask them that over the phone. Okay, what's your address? Where are you at? Where are you located at? And the other thing is, if they come in and pick up a dog that's been running loose and they want to leave it there or they want to take it whatever, then I'm like, okay, how many other dogs do you own at your house that you don't have registered? Then you assess the fine for that as well, and then you'll eliminate the problem with it. But if there's no bite in the deal for them to be out anything, they just walk away from it,
Right.
and we're picking up the tab on it.
Right.
And one guy can't do it. One guy can't do it. My other question is the Edgar County Shelter, is it an office or is it a field office? Is it a field job or is it an office job?
It's a little both.
I think it's a field job. And my reason, and then your Edgar County personnel thing, on a field job, it's a 40-hour work week there then. If it is a field job, it's 40 hours. And it is a field job in my opinion. And it's 40 hours in your personnel manual. It says field work is 40 hours. Office, 9 to 4 hour for lunch.
I've been working on trying to find a part-timer.
And we're going to discuss that, hiring someone else later on the agenda.
I don't think you need a full-time.
I'll disagree with you. If you'd subcontract it out to somebody, you'd take what you're going to pay somebody part-time. If you'd let somebody have all the excess money, they'd take it. Because you can make money on the deal. I'm telling you, you can collect the money there.
You won't make
More
money.
than enough to pay
You
off
won't
it.
make money if the state's attorney won't process it.
Well, but here's the deal. How many $165 fines have we assessed in the last year? Not one. So, okay, so here's my
Isn't
point.
that the problem?
It's a lot of the problem is there's a state's attorney working with me on it. Yeah.
But if you assessed $160...
Basically, when we discussed it the last time, he told me that I had to go to these people's houses. He wanted to make 100% sure I had to have photographs stating that the dogs are showing the dogs on their property before he would even touch it.
And the same thing on the past state's attorney. He didn't want
Correct.
to.
But if somebody comes to the shelter, though, and then he says, that's my dog, and then you're like, okay, here's the deal, it's not registered, well, I'm going to leave it here. That's a $165 fine right there. There's no questions asked. He came right to you, said, that's my dog. That's a $165 fine right there.
How are you going to collect it?
Here's my point is, the fact whether you can collect it or not, that's the state's attorney's job. Your job is to assess the fine. But if you don't assess the fine in the first place, then how are we ever going to solve the problem, Dyke?
But if you assess the fine and the state's attorney won't process it, where are you?
We'll deal with this. Here's what I'm asking you.
You gotta have some. You gotta have some.
You have to
fines
have
before you
one.
know.
You haven't had any yet. So the fact that we're saying he hasn't done the due diligence on it, we don't even have a case to go to him and say, look, we gave a $165 fine here. You didn't do anything with it. So what are we doing with it? So my point is, let's give him 3, 4, 5, whatever comes up. I mean, I don't have the magic number on that. But when you have somebody come to the shelter to pick up their dog, it's not registration, anything on it. It's a $165 fine.
Well, I'd be for turning every one of them in after 6 months, past due.
Well, the other thing is I don't know why we don't do it like the city water bill. If it's not paid within a 30-day period, it doubles or it's something. There's an extra stipend on it.
But you can't shut your water off.
Well, again, but if he knows where the dog's at, he's got a truck. That's why I say it's a field office. Go to their house, and you have the dog here, and start assessing some fines, and you'll see it. How many people did we have when we put it in the paper that we were going to start assessing those $165 fines? There was a rush of people that came in. All you have to do is hit 3 or 4 or 5, or 3 or 4 or 5 that have the dog running it loose at the shelter. That ought to be a $50 fine on top of the $165 fine. And then if they want the dog, another $32. And if they don't want to pay it, then take it to the state's attorney and goes, here's your case right here, slam dunk. Assess the fine. If they don't want to do it, spend a weekend in jail. Whatever the case is. But the bottom line is, if you don't set a precedent, that if you do, here's what I'm asking, Dyke, if you're not going to do any of that, you're not going to assess any of the fines, then why does anybody have to register their dog? I mean, you don't have to. Just come in, pay the $32 and walk out the door with it. And that's not intent of Anna's law, and that's why we've got a pet population problem going on right now. We're overloaded right now. And I think you can hire somebody, and I am telling you that I think if you get the right person in there on the registrations and on the fees, they'll more than pay for themselves. They'll more than pay for themselves.
Is there room in that jail, Carl, for 670?
Well, I'm not sure it qualifies for being confined to jail on that kind of a offense. But no.
Well, I
How does
agree
it
with you.
qualify though? I mean,
I mean, I
how
don't-
do you make them pay if they don't have the money? What's it qualify?
Is it a civil offense? You know, that'd be it'd be a civil offense, and then you can't lock them up for that.
Okay, well, that's
Yeah.
fine. I'm not a
I'm-
state's attorney.
I don't know, but I'm
Right.
guessing that's probably what
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
Right. But I remember when I first got on this animal shelter committee, back this winter, we were talking about that, you know, if we start assessing some fines, you know, you'll get people to comply, and I'm not aware, like you're saying, nothing's happened.
None has been assessed. I mean, it's
Yeah.
not burdening them.
I mean, do you get into those situations on a weekly or a monthly basis where you can find the people for this?
Yes and no. It's really dropped off a lot in the last couple of months.
Okay.
People's not reclaiming their dogs. I mean, I have had a few people come in and reclaim them, and usually I hit them with the pickup fee and stuff like that. If it's a first offense, then they're
Well, maybe we need to sit down with the state's attorney and have a meeting and, you know, get a plan and do something. We talked about it, but,
Which
you
is
know,
what we've tried
well,
Well,
we
we
need
need
to
to tried that.
try it again.
10 years that I've been on here.
Yeah.
There always seems to be some stumbling block. I
Well, like I said, I mean, the thing is on the
think it's
fines.
tickly.
Yeah, the thing is on the fines, though. I mean, the revenue's really dropped off on the fines. We're collecting a whole lot less in fines than what we were a year ago. And so whether
A lot of it's because we are picking up. I mean, a lot less people are actually reclaiming their dogs.
yeah.
And you guys do a wonderful job at the Humane Association of getting them and getting them placed. Don't get me wrong. Is that the reason why we're down? Because we're not getting as many in-house
No,
like we
there's-
were? Is
that-
that part
that-
of it or not?
That shelter is full, but
We're full,
it's
yeah.
full.
We've ran full the entire summer. I mean, I don't know when we haven't.
But we're getting more
been
dogs
full.
getting dropped off to the holding pens and
Yes.
getting dropped off in the
You
country.
got Douglas
Right.
County too, that their shelter shut down because of parvo, so you don't know if anybody's bringing them in from Douglas County. You don't know if they're coming in
I
from
just-
Clark County or.
Heard Indiana shut one down too.
Well, we've been getting a lot more dogs dumped off over around the state line.
Yeah.
Yeah,
area
so,
too.
so they're all over, but my thing is here's what I'm getting at is, when the dog's running loose and nobody claims it, okay, there's no fine, I get that. But when they're walking in the door going, that's my dog, have you paid your registration? No.
And the other dogs.
And then how many other dogs do you have at home that don't? Drive out there, let's go see. We'll deliver it to you and then we're gonna find out how many other dogs you have. Because those are the ones that are causing the problem. So they don't have them registered, they're letting them run it loose. At minimum, it's at least $32 and at least another
For
$50.
pickup fee.
And the thing is, if that's the second offense on that, then that dog's an automatic spayed or neuter. And then if they want to leave that dog there again because they don't want to do that, then you've got to hit them with that fine. Because if you don't, there's no consequence. They'll just go get another dog and just start the process. And that's what we're doing. We're just doing the same flywheel over and over and over again type of deal. So that's the
I understand.
bone of contention. And he can't do it by himself. There's no way one guy can do it by himself. You know?
Because we're doing, I mean, and I don't mean it in a bad way, we're doing a ton of this work because of cleaning, feed, the weekends, the getting them out. I mean, you'd say they don't have to get out, but just the other stuff we're doing and trying to place them. And if we weren't there placing them, he's going to be hauling them to be euthanized at $30 to $40 a head.
Yeah, and you're gonna be
So
another
you got
10,
to
you're gonna be
have
another 10 or
somebody.
12 grand, and you're down 8,000 in revenue. There's 20 grand right there. You got enough to hire somebody, and I think you should hire somebody full time. And here's the deal. And if you get, here's the deal. The problems that we are addressing today will not be noticed for 3 years. You're not going to notice these things for 3 years, because one end-spayed female right now, over the next 3 or 4 years, can generate so many more dogs and that type of deal. So what you're doing today, you're not even going to notice for 3 years. It just has to. It's just going to be a continuous process and continuously tweaking it. And then when he assesses a fine, knowing that we've got cooperation from all the bodies, that fine's going to be assessed, and whatever you have to do. Or if you have to go confiscate the other 5 dogs there at their house, you at least know that they don't have more dogs, and then you keep an eye on that property.
Well, the lady down there that's got dogs again, what the heck's her name? Deanna Kennedy. She should not be allowed to have dogs again. Those are the dogs that we had to euthanize, 25 of them. She's got 6 dogs again, males and females. You think she's not sitting down there breeding them again?
The
She's
problem
not
with
coming up
that
with it again.
situation was those I wrote her citations for on the dogs and on the problem, and the city threw them out.
You need to go ride them again. She should not be allowed to be having dogs down there again. And those are the ones we know. So you can take care of those and start setting a precedent. There's others out there that need it too, but you got to do something with the ones we know.
Yeah, well, we'll take those comments in consideration, and the thing is, he can write the tickets, and if it doesn't go any farther than that, you know.
Yeah, well,
You take a
and
stack
here-
of tickets like this to Mark Iser, he's got to do something with them.
Yeah.
So you write them, and then if he doesn't do anything with them, then we go on Mark. But you got to write them to start with.
Anything else?
Just the only other thing is I think that the Humane Society should have access to the office there, and the reason is they're doing all the adoptions. When it's 115 degrees like it was a week ago last Saturday, they're standing outside for 45 minutes to an hour out there doing the paperwork and those type of things outside. And the same way, if you're going to want them to adopt the dogs for you in December and January, they shouldn't have to be standing outside doing that. And you can't go in the shelter and do it because the dogs are barking and going
Right.
crazy,
Okay.
type of deal. There's also a storage facility there that it would be nice if the Humane Society could store their food there. So if people need food, because we got people there a couple of different times during the day, then they know they can access that food there at the shelter, rather than trying to go to people's houses and those type of things, then they're not home. And I think there's room in that
Is there,
outside storage.
Rob,
shed.
is there room? Is there room for extra food?
As of right now, yeah, when I fill up with,
But when you
when
fill
we
up-
fill up with ours, it's pretty much full. But
What food are you talking about, I guess?
We have people that can't afford dog food, so we have dog food.
Right now,
see.
and we don't need it all. I have
Yeah, just some.
I generally keep 10 to 12 bags at my house for people calling for food. I don't want these people that
Well,
come
the
to
thing,
my
well, the
house.
thing is, they come and then she's not there, and then they, you know, they continuously.
There's a lot of them I don't want
And
coming there.
you can direct them right to the shelter and say, look, at 8:30 or 4:30
Right.
today, there'll be somebody there if you need a bag of food. We're not talking like,
Right.
selling it or doing anything like that. We're just talking
Okay.
about having a
These
single
are
point.
the same people, if they can't afford dog food, they shouldn't have a dog, and they're not going to pay a fine if you threaten to put them in jail.
Yeah,
How
but
you- how you gonna control that?
Pedigree does donate us the food.
So we're not out any
So we're not
expense.
out any expense. We just try to help the dogs. I mean, it's for the dogs, it's not the people. And we can't feed all of them, but we do some of that. Who has our number, we try to provide it.
Okay. Okay, we've got several other things we need to move on here. Anybody else from the public have anything? Mars? Okay. We have Karen, we have you on the agenda here. Okay. We'll take all those comments into
thank you.
consideration and... Okay, where are we at? Old business. And I'm going to skip here just for a minute. One of the things for old business, we did buy the 4, how do you pronounce that? Coranda beds, and from what I hear, they're working real well.
Yes.
And it would be my suggestion that we go ahead and buy more. To go 13 to fill it up. So, is there any discussion? Do we need a motion if,
9 more.
Yeah, 9.
9 more.
okay, and that would cost us approximately how much? How much are they a
They're about
piece?
$45 a piece is what they are.
And we need how many?
9 more.
9 more.
How's our budget?
Well, we can bring that out of. The
Yeah, we can take that out of a
donations.
different.
That won't actually come out of our operating expenses.
$400 approximately.
And is this going to save you with your bedding?
It has, yes, we have
And
kind
clean
of,
up.
cut down some of the bedding.
If
clean
you
up
get,
is-
get it for all of them, will that eliminate
Yes,
the bedding, so
yes.
you won't have to
Yes.
worry about
How long
taking
have
it
they
home
actually been
and
in
all
there,
that?
Mel? How long have they actually been in there?
Almost a month.
Yeah,
I
they
got-
came,
I
he
got 'em right
ordered
after
them right after the
the last
last
meeting.
meeting.
Holding up all
We're
right.
Yeah.
about 5 weeks here.
And
and
I put them in with pit bulls, big dogs, little
Chew on
dogs,
them.
No.
dogs that chew on stuff.
They haven't chewed on
and they
anything.
held up.
They look like they'll be sturdy enough.
Oh yeah,
Last
and
some
they're up
time.
off the ground about 6-8 inches to where you can clean
And
them.
we're going to save a lot of money on laundry and work and
Time.
time. So, do I hear a motion to purchase these other?
I move.
Okay. Dyke moved to purchase, what,
9 more.
9 more of these beds, and Kevin seconds it. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, we'll go back up here to, last time we talked about outdoor kennels. And Dyke just handed me a paper here. Do you want to talk about this, or?
Yeah.
Okay, do you want this back? Just-
No,
Okay.
I got 2 estimates on concrete, and this paper that you've got in front of you here that's outlined in red actually extends over to the right, and that dotted line is about where it would extend. It would have 8 runs. I talked to Craig Smith on the water, and he thought they could run a water line from the water meter back to the building since they're having water pressure problems anyway. So hopefully that won't cost anything for the county.
Okay.
About 2,600 on the run, on the concrete. I've already bought a building out there at Wooten Sale. They had one that was insulated, wired, had a heater in it. It's 12 by 16, and I wanted to set it where that black square is there. Set it next to the building, and instead of an office, turn that into a cat house. And the only thing that would be needed would be an air conditioning, window air in the building. And then, if you use that office as for your
Adoptions.
adoptions, as well as cat cages in there. They don't make quite as much noise. The runs themselves run about $1,284 from Menards. Lowe's didn't have what was adequate. Now, as I understand it, as administrator of that shelter, and these are not, this donation fund is not really controlled by the county, since their donations are not tax dollars.
Correct.
So I can go ahead and have this done, but I want you fellas to know, and I want your blessing before I do it. So that's where we stand.
Okay.
Total cost would be then about 7,000.
3, 6, 7, yeah, probably by the time we get odds and ends done, it's probably closer to 8 to be safe. I don't know what the little expense would be with the water line. Craig didn't seem to think it'd be a problem.
That's including the building, or
Pardon?
is that including the building, or not
Yeah,
including the building?
yeah.
And the
It's
line-
insulated panel, has lights, has a heater.
And is it portable?
Yeah,
That's good.
yeah. And I have a little trouble with letting anybody get into that office other than Rob, to be truthful. So,
Explain that to me.
Well, if he wants to leave papers out on his desk, and you want to use the desk, then those papers are gonna have to be put up.
Either that, or as long as you got someplace to go that's
If you've
inside.
got the office.
At the,
little
in the
office
building, is what you're saying.
In the present office, then I think you could use it.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
So, what I'm wanting now is your approval. We can go ahead and do this before the snow falls. Got some volunteers that'll put a roof over those runs outside so they can leave the dogs out all day in those cages or pens.
How many dollars is in that?
I think we have a little bit over 20,000,
Fund.
right at 20,000 or a little bit.
Also, Helly said the other day that she had been told by one of our illustrious politicians that she could get $10,000, but she's never received it yet, so
That's been going on for over a year.
it's been a while, she said.
Craig was here then, so
It's supposed to
maybe
be
two.
15.
Yeah, it's been
Supposed to got
15,000,
15,000.
we've never gotten it. It'd be nice if we did.
Supposedly Craig was gonna call him and see what was up.
And if we can get that, we can use it for something else.
How soon can
Okay.
we get this done?
Hmm?
If we get the blessing, how soon can this get done?
Pretty quick.
Pretty quick. Okay. I'd like to have it by fall.
I already
so
got
we
the
had some-
building, I just
I like to
gotta
have
move
it
it.
like now, so they can be outside during
Like
this
how
weather
much,
instead of being
how much
snow
room you
falling.
proposing setting that on the west, right on the west edge of the office?
On the west edge.
Yeah, is there enough room? There'd still be enough room to
Oh,
drive.
yeah, you can still drive around, you can still drive around on the west side.
This is the building you bought from Wooten?
Yeah.
And what are you gonna do with that?
Set it in next to the wall here.
Flush with it? And what's the, flush with this wall here?
Yeah.
Okay, and what are you gonna do in the building? The cat, that's the cat house?
Rob's
That would be
office.
it, Rob's office.
Oh,
Move everything in there and turn this into a cat building with a corner open for food storage and,
Maybe I'm looking at it wrong. Why wouldn't we use this for the cat building and leave that to the office?
well, as I understand, there might be a problem. I would be willing to do it, that's not a problem, but if the state inspector would come around, there may be certain things that have to be done to that building that you probably can get by with this concrete building, since you're gonna have animals in it.
Plus that concrete floor, concrete tile floor would be a lot easier to clean than that wooden floor in the new building.
Right. This is wooden but floor.
Yeah.
It's on the scales.
It's got,
Cat smell.
I think it's got carpeting
Cat
on
smell
it.
is. You know how cats smell.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I was thinking about trying to do adoptions in there is how bad cats smell. This is our adoption room. We step in here, it's like,
Yeah, you think
Gag
you think
me.
the dog barking's bad?
yeah, because if somebody hasn't been in to clean all those litter boxes, and I'm not doing
Well,
cats. I am not going there. That's gonna be somebody else's baby.
Yeah, but
So-
see, is that was another question. Is that our responsibility to take care of the cats?
No.
I didn't think so.
Well, this is donated money, so it's not coming out of the county funds,
I know that.
and it would make it easier for.
but if we
everybody.
start taking in cats, then we've gotta maintain all that. And someone's gotta actually take care of the cats, do the cleaning, you know, just your
It'll take more money.
more money involved, more help. I know that's kind of what you're addressing, but do you adopt cats out? Fees?
I don't do cats.
Jane and her group.
Jane and
Jane.
the other side of the Humane Association, her group, do the cats. And we do need help with the cats. They are everywhere. A mom and 4 babies were dumped in a little tiny crate this morning sitting out in the kennel. You know, and I'm not opposed to taking them in and going, here's your cage, get in there. But I'm not coming every day to take care of cats like I do the dogs. So Jane, but I think Jane and her crew will take care of that.
So would that be a situation where if we had the facility there for them to use it,
Yes.
that they would come in and volunteer?
Yes, they would come in and take care of the cats and clean that, and I think they'll be fine at doing that. And they need a place to put them. They do need a place. And there's a lot of times people step up to the shelter and want to adopt a cat. I go, call Jane
I
or
know I've
go to
referred
Dyke.
several people to,
Yeah, yeah, so I mean, I don't think it's a bad thing to have there, but, it just needs to be maybe limited as to how many stay there.
Oh, yeah, there'll be limit. You can only put so many cages in.
Right, and then they have to come and take care of them.
Oh, yeah.
Well, the thing is with the office, you know, the adoptions and those type of things, but I'm sure that Rob and Mel and those guys could work it out. I mean, if it doesn't work in that part of the building, to use the other building if that's the only place to go, because it's benefiting the county to get them out of the shelter and move them out of
First
there.
thing we
type
put
of-
in is an exhaust fan in that building. If you don't have an exhaust fan, you're asking for trouble.
there's already an exhaust fan in that room actually.
Is there already one in that office?
We just don't use it because when we run it, it pulls the smell from the shelter into the office. And I mean, with it just being an office, there's no reason to run an exhaust fan either. So. But it's just got a piece of cardboard taped up to it.
This is the present, where the dogs are presently.
This is the new part here. Over
Okay,
here.
what's this gonna be here,
Well, this comes up next to the building. It's already concreted.
right?
I just drew it. There'd be fencing across here with a gate. There'd be a gate here to go inside and bring them out. This is the aisleway.
Okay, so there won't be like a door running from here,
No.
so you'd have to physically bring them out and put
Yeah.
them there.
Yeah.
'Cause, you know, like, you've never been to Coles County, right?
Right.
And theirs, they go from the inside, they just lift
So
up.
we've
the
got
le-
that drain
Right,
back there.
that's
There's
what
no
I was
way-
thinking.
There's
There's no way.
really to open
Right,
that
so you'd
up.
have
You're
to-
gonna have to physically move them.
Right, okay.
And actually.
But you wouldn't have to put a pin or a leash on them. You can just turn them loose and they can run
Not
out.
the way that he's got that laid out. No, it'd
Yeah.
just be a matter of walking them out there. And
Right,
walk them in the pen and shut the
okay,
gate.
all right,
But it'd be
You gotta
some
follow.
fencing over to
I'll go
here.
follow.
yeah.
Instead of here.
They do me.
Proper motivation.
And
They
this
do me.
individual pins, you'd have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pins.
Seven, there's 8 of them.
Oh, 8 pins. Concreted, and you say you're going to plan to put a roof over it?
And then run a roof from here, some 4x4s, and some type of roofing up to the, under the eave of the
Mhm.
existing building. It appears that that water line may be running right along here.
I
Okay.
think it runs right along the back of the building.
But Rob said that they're having water pressure problems, so I talked to Craig about it, and he didn't think that'd be a problem. They just run a new line. And bring it in here, and then up over the ceiling over to the hookup over here.
Which may just be a matter of reversing the flow of the water that's already in there because we have lines to that end of the building for the outside hookup.
I don't know, one of my biggest concerns, and I haven't seen the building that you purchased, you know,
Has 5 runners under it.
whether
not
it's
4.
appropriate, you know, for an
It's more
office,
solid.
you know. I mean, will you have to have it wired, it'll have to be wired and everything, I take
Wiring's
it?
in.
I mean, for computers and,
Well, you'd have
The
to-
wiring-
There'd have to be some hookups for computers.
right, is the wiring heavy
The
enough?
only thing in there for computers is just basically power
Yeah,
because everything can run off DSL on the internet part of it.
but coming through the wall shouldn't be a problem to get in there.
We'll have some electrical cost.
Pardon?
We'll have some electrical cost.
Yeah, but that would still come out of the
Right, I know.
donation money.
Drainage, is that going to be a problem?
Pardon?
Drainage back in behind there. I know the other day I was out there looking around and I saw there's like a ditch back in there for,
We think that's where the existing drain line runs. There's supposed to be, what was the guy's name from the water department that was supposed to?
Pardon?
They're supposed to, the guy that was there the other day from the water department was supposed to confirm if that was a drain, wasn't he?
Oh, yeah. he was-
well, there's drain, but then there's a ditch down through there that water runs off of some.
That natural.
Yes.
Either, yeah,
Is
there's
that
another
in this
drain.
way or is it?
No, there's another, no, that'd be back farther behind the building.
And this lays to the east of the clean out for the line there on the west end of it.
Where that drain runs, it runs this way down, this, and then comes back around and it goes back to the street.
myself, I'd like to go out there and take a look.
Keep it and go.
Where's the building now, Dyke? Where have you got
It's
this?
still out there. It's been in Wooten Shed all this time. It's never been outside.
What's the size of it?
12 to 16.
Which is
That's
real,
bigger than what
it's,
you
I
got.
say it's almost right at the same size, not a little bigger than what the office is.
I'm not saying I'm against it at all, but
No.
I'd like to
Yeah.
look over the situation.
Before we decide on it,
Yeah.
don't you think, Carl?
I'd like to even see the
Pardon?
building.
Look at it, make sure.
Yeah, that's
I don't
fine.
have
Got
a
it.
problem with,
Before we decide on
I
it.
think we need outside runs. I've always thought that, especially after seeing that over Coles County. You know, that's great.
Well, all I ask is that, do it quickly. We need these done. We are full, and they want outside. I mean, it's nice weather now. We're leaving them in there. It's time to move them. Because that's-
I'm in full agreement on the runs. I think that's legitimate, we can get it done. The building thing, I want to look at it. See how it's gonna work out.
Is this building locked up inside
Size-wise.
his shed as of now? Is it locked up in Wooten shed out there?
Oh, I don't know if he locks that shed or not.
Okay, well,
I
I can
get
find
it
out
from
from Chuck.
Chuck.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we could find out from Chuck and run out there and take a look at it.
Are the majority of the dogs out there are pit bulls that you've got locked up now?
Big chunk of them.
Are they?
Four.
Are we down to what,
Out of the 13, actually 15, because there's 2 in the outdoor kennel right now.
Mhm.
But 4 is it, and they're 4 nice ones. But they'll be the first to go if I have to. But that's, I'm like, I'm just trying to hold on and see if it ever, we've done quite a bit of advertising. We've got the thing running in the paper now. I'm like, I'm just hoping that it helps. But we need to get this done, and it'll make it a lot easier for us to be able to move them outside and leave them for a while. Us trying to walk 13, 15 dogs is a ton.
That ad that was in the paper, is there a phone number?
I think I had the wrong phone number.
I didn't see
I
any
don't
phone
think
number on
any
it.
phone number in
They
there.
didn't have any phone number, and I
Somebody
thought
said something about phone number, but it was the wrong
Well,
There
one.
was
So
no phone number.
the page,
Yeah,
just a
the
couple
ad.
nights ago, there was, I just wondered how they
Trust me,
contact
they're
you.
calling. 'Cause
Well, they can figure it out.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
calling.
That's
yeah,
good.
they're calling.
Do you get some of those adopted
But
out?
going back to that on the
We will.
adoption process though, but the thing is like, you know, by having access to the office though, you have people over there that you're outside with the dog and that type of deal. She can even put it up and they want to talk about it for 35 minutes before they go and you're just
Right.
standing there and
Right,
waiting,
sure,
waiting,
right.
waiting. And that's where the
And
problem
he
is.
saw
is-
that firsthand because last weekend I didn't have any help, so he was helping me. But trying to adopt out a dog, they're messing with it. They're trying this. It was 105 degrees out there, sweat pouring off of me, and
Do they have
I'm
kids
like,
with them? Well, I don't want those kids running around in anybody's office.
But Dyke, I'm not going to let that happen. I mean, it's going to be me and the parent that's going to go in. I'm not going to let any kids run through there.
How many parents do you know that watch their kids that close when they're doing something like that?
Or if
I have
that's
trouble at the office. They walk over and pick up my engine. Pay $1,000 for an eye instrument. The kid turn around and drop it.
Yeah.
well,
Parents said, "Oh, my land."
well, I think
I don't
yeah.
want them messing around with this paper. Now, I'm not trying to get on you, but I don't want them in there messing around with these papers.
And
I
you,
got a
and you may not be
solution.
the only
Let's
one.
get 2 buildings in.
There's
Well,
three
yeah.
guys.
Then let's get 2 buildings. Well, you got to do something. Here's what I'm getting at is, the Humane Society is solving your problem for you. We just sat here and discussed if you start euthanizing 450 dogs, it's going to cost you $13,000 to $16,000. A lot cheaper to get a building and let them adopt them out. And then the other thing is you're driving revenue with the registrations and those type of things when you do that. So it's a win-win. But I mean, you know, it's all solvable. The money's there available to do it type of deal.
After
And-
turning in
and-
678 people and collecting the money and buying the building.
Me
We'll buy a
too.
big building. We'll buy a big building.
Well, I think so too. I think that 678 people ought to be called, charged. There's a lot of people on there that.
Well, like,
Yeah.
hey, going back to that again too is going, you know, not, you know, but hey, if it's not paid within 30 days, then it's got to be 12 and 30 or whatever. You know, there's got to be just like your water bill. If it's not paid by the 10th, there's a little added charge on it. You're gonna have to do that, and then after 90 days, and then after 60, it's gotta be something else, and after 90, then you're in direct violation of it's $165 or whatever the case is. I mean, whatever, that just got to change there a little bit type of deal. But I wouldn't be opposed to getting 2 buildings out there. He can have his building out there, and then they can have their building out there, because they're there a lot. I mean, they're there a lot. And with the adoptions, if we want to get that problem taken care of, it'd be a good place for them to have to be able to work out of. And then
It wouldn't hurt us if we had, you can get a pretty cheap laptop or something. And I don't know how you would do it, but a lot of times the tags, a dog comes in with a tag. Well, I can't get the tag number until I catch up with him, or else give me a printout or do something. But I can't. What would hurt if I had a printout of the tags, at least who these dogs belong to?
That'd be pretty easily done. It's just a matter of
That
printing
shouldn't
it
be a
out.
problem.
Well, I got one time, but it was
alphabetizing.
alphabetizing, so you're trying to look through this stack of
Right.
paper like
can
this to
print off-
find
I
the
can print off the
tag.
by tag number.
Okay.
But I mean, the thing with that is it's going to change basically once a week. So I mean, it'd be just
Well, it's easy.
But then if you get, why do you need to have that information?
because there's
They
a lot of
come in
times
on
that
They come in
tags-
on a Friday night,
Right.
and he's not there over
And
the
I'm not
weekend.
there, I'm
We don't
gone.
know
And
whose
you
dog it is. We'd contact them
Okay,
direct and say,
all
hey,
right.
your dog's here, come and get it, instead of having to wait till Monday.
Right.
And then they're out looking for it, and they don't think, and then they come to the shelter, there's nobody there,
Right.
so it's just.
or there's a lot
vicious.
of people that call in and say, hey, that we found this dog. We know it's one of our neighbors, but we don't know which one it is.
Yeah.
It may be handy.
Okay, we've got a lot more to discuss here. I would suggest that maybe us 3, just one at a time, run out there and take a look at that shed, go out there and take a look at the location, and we'll get back to Dyke and give him a yay or nay. Does that sound good or not? Does that sound appropriate?
If you can do it.
I mean, really, do we even need a motion on it? If Dyke has the authority to do it anyway, so we need him,
I'd rather have the committee make approval of it,
yeah.
because we're, talking, what, $10,000 worth of money?
And we need to look over the situation.
Right.
But it's not tax dollars, so they won't shoot you.
Well, that's besides the point. I just think we're responsible for the
That's
the
okay, that's
donation
why I
money.
brought it up to you.
Right. It's a good idea, but I just want to look and just make sure I'm comfortable with it. But I think we need to reconvene and make approval on that myself.
Okay. We can just have a special meeting then? Okay.
If we hopefully get it done before next October meeting.
She wants her runs up by the time they meet the next time.
Yeah.
You think you,
You gonna work in concrete?
have you got,
I can
is there
do
someone that's volunteering to do a lot of this stuff?
No, that's gonna cost $2,600 on that concrete.
Okay.
That's,
And what else? I guess what else is involved? Concrete, you said you donated runs or
I
something?
donated the runs,
Okay, and then you're gonna have to have someone build a
but we
roof?
got a problem with my runs, they're wider than what I wanted. The new ones are $1,286, I believe, yeah, $1,286. And they're only 5 feet wide. Can't get them any more than there on a special order. But, if nothing else, if you guys would go ahead and say, fine, then we'll go ahead and pour the concrete and get the runs on it and get some cyclone fencing around it so they could go ahead and use them.
You wouldn't have to have the roof done right now.
No,
And we wouldn't have to do the building.
that was gonna be a volunteer job anyway.
everybody's concerned getting the runs put in quickly.
Yes.
I don't see a problem adding runs. Personally, I'm more concerned about this building.
Yes, right.
All right, do the runs concern you too, as far as?
No, I just want to look and see,
Make sure everything's right.
yeah.
Now that's with a drain trough put in that too, isn't it?
Pardon?
That concrete's gonna have a drain trough put in it too, right?
Yeah, we'll have to put some kind of a trough, but the only thing is,
Somewhere
where
to clean
we're
it
gonna
out.
take it, you can't run the solids into it, they're gonna have to be picked up. Unless you
We
can
want to
break
why
them
that
out.
because we're running
Where are you
solids in
gonna
there
run the
out
solids?
of the holding pins, running solids in it right now,
Into where?
down in the drain. That main drain line.
Where's that
Same
drain?
drain that
Where's
the
that drain go?
The city storm sewer.
It was
Or-
not
Oh,
storm,
you're in the
it's-
sewer.
Or same,
Okay,
yeah, it's
I
in the
thought you were
sewer.
talking about running it out to the ditch.
No, no.
No, no,
In
I'm
the
talking tying into that drain.
Oh, well,
Be some tile work done first.
that's not figured into that, but I can take my backhoe down there and dig it if we get somebody to work with us.
Okay, before we do anything then, do you want to have a special meeting? Or do we want to go ahead and do the concrete? Can we do that today? Not really.
I don't feel, I want to look at it first before I
Okay.
make any decision.
Okay, it's my suggestion then that we take a look over the situation and have a special meeting in the near future.
After we took a look at it and call it, set up a
Okay.
time for a meeting.
Okay.
The only thing is sooner the better.
I know,
Right.
right.
I understand.
Okay.
I'll be out there this week looking, get over to Chucky and see about the building. But Larry and Darlene, they're still here, I think,
Yeah,
till,
they're still-
for another couple of weeks or so.
I imagine longer than that.
Is it-
They didn't sell our
Rod,
house.
the main thing is making sure that drain, figure out a way to get that tied in, right?
Right.
That concrete.
Right.
That would be the biggest thing, because then that way for cleanup, you just.
Yeah, you
Right.
just all be hosed
Yes.
off and then go down the drain.
That's,
and
so
be done with it.
that's, you need to probably make sure that that gets addressed on that, because you want to make sure that you can get that thing clean. You don't want to be out there having that,
Oh,
Yeah.
pick it up.
discharge.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, if we don't have any place to go with it, that'd be a mess.
Yeah.
Okay, is there any more old business? Any more old business needs to be discussed right now? Okay, let's go to new business real quick. I put on here the 2011 budget, and I think the main thing I just wanted to bring up that we are pretty tight in a couple areas. And the one big thing was the fuel. Are we tight on this year's budget, on the amount?
On this year's budget?
Yes. Was
Yeah,
the
we're
fuel.
just tight on a few of them. We're already over on the part-time
Yeah.
salary, of course, everything that's coming out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically the travel expenses. the
Right,
main
travel
one that's being-
expenses, so. My only suggestion is to
Which,
just try not to,
with what I've got left in that budget, I also had to take out that new windshield that I just had to get when I
right,
Got
and
any
I'm not
busted?
sure that should have been taken out of that spot, but it was, so. So my only suggestion is just watch it as close as you
That's what I'm
can.
doing.
On the windshield, you just have
Mileage.
a deductible?
No, we had a $500 deductible on it.
Okay.
And even to put it back in with a new F-150 sticker in it, which we didn't do, it was 460 something. To go in with a regular windshield, which is what we did, was like almost 300. I didn't feel I needed the F-150 sticker in the middle of the windshield for the extra $200.
So what happens if he goes over budget on that?
We don't have to pay it, but
Is there some other line items?
there's probably
that
some
you're-
other
There's
line
some other
items. There's
that
some
are
other line
fun. I mean,
items.
I've got some,
The main concern is the bottom line.
Yeah, the bottom line.
which I should get it. I think I get a printout tomorrow with the county board of so
Right.
I don't think anybody could have predicted how many miles you were gonna drive and how many gallons of fuel at what price.
Well, there
you
was
were
other
gonna
other aspects of it too that
right.
Right.
I didn't know about.
With Larry no longer being there, or and you mentioned being over budget on the part-time, how is that?
Because they had to pay
Well-
him. They had to pay him off for his sick days and all that stuff.
Right.
Which threw us over budget on that.
Right. So that was just something we couldn't help.
Yeah, that's fine. I was just curious.
Okay, 2012 budget, we're working on that, and Mr. Voigt will be getting a copy of that budget, and we'll be looking at that in the future, the next month or so. Okay, you've got on here, discuss rabies reminder mailing. What do you want to talk about there?
Mainly, what we're sending out right now in the monthly reminder letter is a letter which requires ink, paper, envelopes, stamps, the whole 9 yards. Why couldn't we bump that down to a postcard or something to make it a little cheaper on the mailing?
For the rabies, then same time registration, and
Yeah, it's all done the same time
so it's just one male per household. then.
for dog. Which, I mean, we put the same, I mean, if there's more than one dog, we obviously put it in the same envelope.
Yeah, but it's an individual sheet.
Yeah, it's,
So
each
you-
dog is an individual sheet, right?
So if you could do one postcard with Gracie, Molly, Susie, Sammy, all needs their
The fact that
rabies
there's
shot.
multiple dogs in the house ain't really as much of an issue as the fact that just a major mailing is 200 some letters times 200 some envelopes times 200 some stamps times.
That's tough. That's a tough call. It's like mine, I had two due in June, I think, and one due this month.
Yeah, because they come do different times.
So I get
right?
3 different letters.
Right, 3 different
which is
times a
crazy.
year.
Yeah.
I mean, theoretically, he could have called me in and do all 3 of them once. But you can't do that for 10,000 people,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So there's the reason.
I've already cut down part of the-
On 3 different dogs.
Part of the expense of it because we was printing the letters off twice because the program won't allow you to determine whether it's a fixed dog or unfixed dog, and then we was just having to throw basically half of it away. Well, I'm just going through on the unfixed dogs and whiting it out and writing it in what it's supposed to be and just printing it
Let
once.
me address that though. That goes back to cost management and those type of deals. Whatever it takes for the program, I don't care if you have to take it out of the donation money, that will be money well spent for us to be able to identify the percentage of dogs that are not spayed or neutered. And it just needs to be done. Technology's there for it. Whatever we gotta do to get a computer program in there to make it 50 times easier on him, which is gonna allow him to do other things. And then you're also gonna know what percentage, because you tell me now, does the spay or neuter program work, the voucher program work? Nobody knows, because we don't know how many dogs are spayed or neutered in the county. Out of the total ones we got, unless you're gonna go in there and hand count them, correct?
Right,
If you get somebody, I'm not the guy, technology, get a computer program, Excel program, whatever, get that data entered in there, and you'll have it, you'll know exactly what percentages are gonna be there.
Just recently, the county hired full-time IT person, and he very.
About the time you know it.
A lot of problems. Yeah.
But the desks aren't there anymore.
And I think it'll cut costs too. I mean, if you could get that streamlined, and or by the same token, if they no longer have the dog, you know, you take them out of the
Take 'em out of
system
the
a lot
computer, right.
easier, 10 times
Which I
easier.
know we were there for a few, we at one time, we was trying to find a new program because the program we've got now, the guy that wrote it has Alzheimer's and we can't get in contact with him anymore to make,
Well, I think
Kinda
keeping good
changes
at the
the program.
postcard's a lot better idea anyway.
I would just suggest that you work with our new IT person and any way to save a little money on postage stamps and so forth, but still get
Well, a lot of people
the
will
same
put those
information
postcards
on.
on the refrigerator,
Right.
whereas a letter gets
Yeah.
stuck somewhere. Put your
Sure.
postcard up and
Right.
you know when it is.
And you can do those oversized one,
Sure.
you know, type of deal, and you can get something on the front, like graphic design on the front that'll force them to look at it.
Right.
You know, you can do a,
And make a postcard with all that on.
Okay. Let's move on here. Rob wanted to discuss about the use of the truck, and I think that Rob can propose this, and we need to probably think about this too a little bit as a committee before we do anything. So go ahead, Rob.
he just made me talk all day. Basically what I'm wanting to do is be able to take the truck home to where when I get called out at 8, 9 o'clock at night to go respond to police officers needing dog help, I can go straight to the problem instead of having to go out to the dog pound, get the truck, and then respond to it. There's been several incidences where, I mean, if someone gets bit walking down the street and the dog takes off, and he's already got a 20-minute head start on me because it takes me that long to go get the truck and go to the scene versus jump in the truck and go straight to the scene. There's been a few dogs that have gotten away from me for the simple fact they had a head start on me. A bigger head start than what, and with there only being one of me out there, it's not like it's going to be split up between multiple people being on call. I'm pretty much on call 24/7.
Do you have equipment in there?
Everything
That's
it's basic.
cool.
The only thing I wouldn't have in the truck, which I could even take with me, is my drug box.
Well, I know you keep it in that locked, fenced-in area out there.
But all my equipment's in the truck too. Other than like in the wintertime, my drug box goes inside, so my rompum don't freeze.
You
Take
keep
it in
that, you keep that in something locked up,
What's that? The rompum?
Your
It's
drug?
kept in a cooler.
but it's not locked.
No.
I don't know if they can find you or not, but they can sure find me. I have to have a safe to keep it in. Now, that doesn't mean a safe you can't carry.
Right.
But the state will furnish a safe for a few dollars that you can pick up and run
Maybe
down the
handy
street
to have.
with, but that makes it legal. But if it's not locked up,
You know, the only thing it's locked up on
They
is the
can
fact it's
find
locked
the
up in
devil
the
out of
truck.
And you, I assume you live here in town?
Oh, yeah, I live here, I live in town, yeah.
Don't they have to document the mileage for the IRS? Isn't that the policy on the people that are driving in, like, county highway engineer? You're gonna have to keep track of that if you do it.
We're getting ready to start keeping track of the mileage anyway.
But
But if it's gonna be considered a personal vehicle, I don't want it for a personal vehicle, I just
no, but they
merely want it to
consider it a,
respond to.
Perk, so to speak, I think is how they
a
classify it.
quote-unquote perk, which is
Gonna be a major issue, I'll leave
taxable
it figure out where it's
income.
at.
Yeah, well, they get-
Taxable income. to
Would they
you.
get a 1099 on that?
I think they, and you have to discuss with your accountant or whatever, but they may want to charge you, if it's 2 miles to your house, 2 miles back, that's 4 miles a day at 40 cents a mile,
I don't know how they
times
do it.
5 days a week, and then they'd add it to your pay, and then you probably end up having to pay taxes on
Right.
it. That's,
Well, they're right where it's at then.
yeah, that's,
Well, I mean,
I think for right now, I think
yeah,
that's the way it
that's the
is.
way it
and I
is
think
with everybody, yeah.
But that's the way it is on some of the state vehicles
Right.
and state farm vehicles and different things
Right.
like that.
Sure.
They're charging us.
That's the problem with it.
Right. That's really an idea,
Okay.
but it's not gonna be an idea, it's gonna cost me money.
Well, it may not, I mean, it may be minimal. I don't know how many.
I'm sure there's a flat rate. on it. You'd have
Minimal
to-
is too much.
Okay, okay, is there anything else? At this time, I'd like to have a motion to go into executive session to discuss personnel.
Can we get a motion on that?
Yes.
So moved.
Is there a second? Okay. All those in favor?
I'd
Aye.
have to get, probably have to get
Okay.
Henson to pull that building up on this car hauler and get it out there.
The open session is back in order,
Oh,
and we need a motion to adjourn if there's no other business. Motion by Dr. Davis to adjourn, seconded by Mr. Charlton. Meeting, all in favor? Aye. Aye. Motion approved. Meeting adjourned.